What's up, world? Tiara here. So, our discussion today is going to be about how in the society there's that expectation of females sleeping around with their male counterparts. This conversation may seem like it's all over the place because I'll be referencing to my experience in the military as well as my experience in the civilian sector. My experience within the military is more, I would say I have more experience within the military than I do in the civilian sector, only because growing up, my parents didn't really allow me to, hang out with the opposite sex, so to speak. Not even the same sex. Like, I think throughout my life, I probably went to maybe two of my acquaintances at the time, I guess friends, birthday parties. Other than that, never really hung out with people unless it was, family members or people I grew up with within church, like a birthday party for them. Other than that, I was sheltered. It was home and school. So most of my experience comes from the military. I joined the military at the age of 17 years old, and I turned 18 in boot camp. So by the time I hit what they call the fleet, which is the actual, I done bypassed all the training and stuff. Now I'm doing my time. That part, I was 18 years old. So what made me want to talk about this was a discussion that I had with my wife yesterday. So she brought to my attention that when she had got to her second duty station, after we both had PCS, she was stationed at Ninth Com, and she was saying that she had to sit in this brief. It's a sexual harassment brief because in the military they do a lot of briefings. But they had a sexual harassment brief, and it was led by the sexual harassment, I want to say advocate. That's the title of his billet, and his rank is, or at the time was E8 out of 9. So you have E1 all the way to E9. He was an E8, master sergeant. And she told me that he had asked this question, was like, who has never been called a hoe before? And she said that she had raised her hand. And, they had this back and forth dialogue or whatever. And she was like, no, I've never been called it, whatever. And it came up to, eventually it came up that she had stated that she was a lesbian or whatever. And so his response was, oh, well, that's why, And he goes on to further saying that in the military, a female, after spending however many, whatever time within the service, the first, he gave this time frame. He said a female, in the military, after spending so much time with her male counterparts, that she would have so many sexual partners. And I thought it was pretty crazy because this guy off the bat judged my wife and said, like, oh, you've never been called a hoe, or you couldn't, you don't have a lot of sexual partners because you're lesbian. And I'm thinking, like, I thought it was crazy because, in all honesty, I am my wife's first same-sex, encounter. Prior to me, she had only dated guys. And we both mutually, we identify as lesbians only because she's a female, I'm a female. She only wants me, I only want her. We're only attracted to each other. So we say, yeah, we're lesbians. Because, we're not looking at other guys and saying, hey, I want to be with him, So it's just like, but I thought it was crazy because I'm like, so this guy thinks that you weren't called a hoe or that you didn't partake in hoe activities because you're a lesbian. Like, it's like, well, it's clear that he doesn't know her. But how do you make that assumption? But he tried to say that, like, it was factual. Like, if you were a straight female and you were in the military, you had slept with multiple dudes within this time frame. And for me, I thought it was crazy because I'm like, this guy is, one, he's an E8. Two, he's the sexual harassment advocate. Like, how can you just say some wild, disrespectful stuff like that? But she also said that he was one of those who was very friendly with other females. So, and when I say friendly, I mean like, you know, sexually. Like if a female was to give him the time of the day, he would sleep with her, no matter the rank. We'll put it that way. And I just thought it was crazy, you know, when she said that. But then I was like, you know what? Well, based on the experiences that I had in the military, I don't put nothing past them. You know what I'm saying? Because my wife and I both, you know, encountered higher ranking, you know, males, whether it was, you know, NCOs, which is E4 and E5s, staff NCOs, E6 and above, or officers who would be a little too friendly with us and, you know, be all flirty and whatnot. And we've even heard of, you know, and I've even seen myself, E6, come to the barracks to pick up junior Marine females to go sleep with them, and these guys were married. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, to me, it was mind blowing, you know, but it's just, at the time it was mind blowing, but now it's just like, it's like getting on my nerves, you know, it's like pissing me off because there's that expectancy that male and females can't live, you know, together in society without that expectation that females are sleeping with them, or they're going to if they haven't. I mean, you hear the debate about, is it possible for females and males to be friends without anything else further, you know? And I've even dealt with, in the military, I had male friends, which I honestly know that they were sexually attracted to me. I had friends, you know, friends who were very heartstruck. They were very heartstruck when they found out that I started dating my wife, because they thought that we were going to get together. And it's like, no, dude, we just friends. But there was that expectancy that we were either sleeping together or we were going to. Like, I remember, you know, hanging out with guys, playing spades or whatever. Or we'll go out to date to Ken Town in Okinawa, Japan for drinking when I was of age. Or we'll, you know, like go out and just, we can go to like local restaurants and stuff. And, you know, guys be like, hey, yo, that's you right there? You dating her? Or they'll say it about my wife. And that's just like, well, at the time, she was, you know, she was my friend, either my friend or girlfriend, because we were friends for like the first 2 months and then started dating and then got married 2 years later. But I'm like, hey, that's you? And you'll see like the cheesing and all that. Like, they want to be like, yeah, but nah, you know, they had to get the nah. Like, nah, we just friends. But there was always that expectancy. Like, even behind our backs, you know, people would even ask, like, oh, you hitting that? And then, you know, they'll admit, like, no, I'm not, you know. But there was always that expectancy. And then when I first got to my very first duty station, which was in Okinawa, Japan, like I told you, I turned 18 in boot camp. So for the first, like, I want to say like year and a half, I was not of age to drink. But at that time, I did not drink because, like I told you, I was raised in a strict household. My parents are Christian, and they didn't drink or smoke or anything around. So I didn't grow up in that lifestyle. So all my life, you know, I never drank, never smoked, none of that. Didn't have sex or any of that stuff. And so the first like year and some change in the military, like I had no desire of it because I never participated in it, you know, I wasn't around it. And so I didn't mind being like, I won't necessarily say the DD, because I was, junior Marines weren't permitted to drive, you know, or have our own vehicles while we were stationed overseas, especially if you lived in the barracks. So, but I was like, I was always the sober person. Like I would go with them to Ken Town, and Gate 2 was just a strip of, different clubs and places to pretty much drink. And I would go with them, and like I eat food and listen to the music, dance, but never drink, never smoke, none of that stuff. And so, by the end of the day, when my friends come in, whether if I went with them, we'll come in together, or if I didn't go, they'll come in. I would always make sure that my female counterparts were good. So if they were my roommate, it wasn't no dude coming up in my room. That's just like, that's how I was. Like, this is where I get indecent. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't belong here in the first place. Like, there's rules against males and females being in each other's rooms and in the first place. So it's like, you're not allowed. There's the rules, and there's me stating that you're not allowed. And so I got into a lot of conflict, I would say, because my roommate at the time was dating a guy, and that was before she started dating him. She would just go out with him and his friends, and they'll go drinking, and he'd come back and he want to, lay up with her and all that other stuff. And I was a cock blocker, because I'm like, nah, this is my room, y'all not chilling tonight. Y'all can chill tomorrow when she's sober outside of my room. You know what I'm saying? And, they'll swell up a little bit, and like, I'm trying to, like, nah, nigga, keep moving. You know what I'm saying? Get out of my room. And I would even do the same thing for the other females. I make sure my roommate was good. I could leave my room, lock it, I got my key on me. I'll go down the hall to the other females' rooms and start securing them in their rooms. Because, these were females. It was obvious. They were intoxicated. Half of them couldn't even keep their eyes open, or half the time they couldn't keep their eyes open. You know what I'm saying? So I would go in there. If guys were in there, I was the one kicking them out, and I have people coming at me like, blah, 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 we just chilling, da, da, da. It's like, you're not allowed, so get out of here. She's drunk, get out of here. And there's a couple of times where, it came to swelling up. And after a while, it wasn't even after a while. It was like within the first weekend or two, first 2 weekends that I was there, I was already deemed the lesbian, the bitch, the dyke, the bull dagger. Like, all these, derogatory terms, they come out. Because when I say this, it's because lesbian to me isn't derogatory, but dyke, bull dagger, is. It's derogatory towards a homosexual female. But now all of a sudden I am a lesbian, and this was before, people knew my sexual preference. I was deemed a bitch or lesbian because, one, within the first couple of weeks of being there, no one slept with me. I was uninterested in anyone. I was preventing people from sleeping with other females, and so months later, I'm still, walking around with this title of being a bitch, lesbian, blah, 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 because no one slept with me, yada, yada, yada. So now that's when I've come to the realization, even listening to the male conversations, you either a hoe or you're a lesbian. You either a walking mattress, is what Marines call females who slept with a lot of guys. Yes, a walking mattress. They said that. You're either a walking mattress or you're a lesbian. And since I spent all that time there, didn't sleep with anybody, I was off the bat deemed a lesbian. Now, me personally, I didn't find that offensive. I even started to embrace the term dyke and bull dagger. It's like, yep, that is me, because I'd rather be that than a motherfucking walking mattress. Oh, I'd rather be called a lesbian than to know that there's people walking around out here that can say that they had the opportunity to enjoy me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was very narcissistic in the term when it came to my body, but it was in a protective way. It's like, yes, I know I am good looking, you know what I'm saying? I know what I have. I know, this, that, and third, but can't nobody say that they had me. You know, it was, I took pride in that nobody slept with me. Not in my unit, not on my base, not on that island, not in that motherfucking country. Not a person, not a soul slept with me. I took pride in it. And that's how I kind of like encountered the negative connotation to the word that they would put on there. And so, yeah. So now I'm being deemed a lesbian. I'm embracing it in the whole nine. But at the same time, guys were treating me negatively because I wasn't allowing them to sleep with intoxicated females. But it's like, why do you want her? You know, like, why can't you try and talk to her while she's sober? She's drunk, you know, but that was the lifestyle in the military, where you would have groups of guys and females go out and everybody get drunk, and then they want to come back and have sex. And then you had even people that they didn't even drink, would go out with people, get drunk, come back and want to have sex. And it's just like, my dude, you're sober. Like, you have nothing to, you know, like, you have no leg to stand on here. Like, you have no excuse. Like, what the freak are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You should be helping me out, you know? Like, I'm sober, you sober. We should make sure these people don't do anything stupid. Nobody gets, you know, pregnant. No one motherfucking catches a rape charge. You know, we should be out here looking out for one another. But nah, I was actually insulted. Like, I was motherfucking, you know, like, I was hated for it. And it's just like, whatever. And it even got to the point where, like, I literally came this close to motherfucking fighting NCOs because, you know, within the first couple of weeks of being there, not even the first couple of weeks, like the first couple of days, they'll try to offer me drinks and blah, blah, blah. And that's like, dude, I'm only 18. In Okinawa, Japan, the legal drinking age was 20. I got there at 18. It's like, I'm not old enough to drink, and I'm uninterested. Like, no. And they couldn't, you know, and these were people trying to get me drunk that early in the week, you know, before the weekend came, Monday through Thursday, these niggas was arguing with me. Yes, I said niggas because that's my term. You don't like it, we can talk about that in another thing. You won't hear me curse, but I definitely say niggas. Niggas for me there's no respect to person when it comes to niggas. White people are niggas, Hispanics are niggas, Indians, Native, everybody is a nigga, you know, so that's my term. But, so yeah, these niggas would motherfucking sit here and, you know, like, argue with me, try to pull the, you know, I'm a corporal, respect me, blah, 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 bullcrap. You have to blindly follow me because I'm a corporal, blah, blah. Anything I say, go, you do it without question. Nah, and that's not how I was. I wasn't the type that followed blindly. Like, you had to explain to me, tell me what I do, you know, like, you want me to do something, then tell me why, you know? And I didn't do that. So these were people that would bump heads, complain about me to other corporals, try to develop hazing tactics because they didn't like the fact that I didn't. And then the weekend comes and they're all friendly. Hey, you want something to drink? Da, 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 da. No. And it got to the point where I even reported these NCOs or snitched to our commanding officer, our OIC officer in charge. And I say, hey, you know, Corporal so-and-so is motherfucking giving underage females drinks. And not just the females, but the males too. They offered me some. I turned them down because, one, besides the fact that I legally could not drink because of my age, was uninterested, never drank before. You know, I didn't know how I would react or whatever. And I never wanted myself to be sloppy drunk around people and risk being raped or, you know, or somebody trying to fight me and I can't defend myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't like that idea. So I just stayed away from it. And it was swept under the rug. Nothing happened to those NCOs. I feel like if anything, they were probably told to stay away from me, because after that, I never heard from those NCOs. Like, I would see them, they'd mean mug me from afar, you know what I'm saying? But they never said nothing to me no more. Like, I can mother freaking, screwed up, like did something stupid, and they wouldn't even say nothing to me. The next person, and the next person in charge would have come up to me and be like, hey Grayson, and try to correct me, whatever, because they just wouldn't say anything to me. They didn't want nothing to do with me. They didn't even want to check my mother freaking room for field day, even though they technically were my NCOs. So they didn't want nothing to do with me. Further in, you have mother freaking higher ups doing the same thing. And there's that, it was like, it was normal. Females were sleeping around with guys. If you weren't sleeping around with guys, then you had to be a lesbian. Like, that just was the norm. And I was just like appalled by it. And I would sit around and hear the conversations be had about the females that were sleeping around with other guys, and they're walking mattresses. They call them woogs and all this other stuff. Like, anything disrespectful you could think of, it was said about female Marines. And they would talk about how wet or dry they were during their encounter, the things that they'd done to the girl, the things that the female Marine done to them. And a good bit of these times, a lot of these females were intoxicated, so I want to say rape was a normal thing in the military, but then there's that thin line, because is it rape just because the person is intoxicated? But a lot of these females, well, I won't say a lot, but a good bit of these females didn't even remember these encounters, you know what I'm saying? And these were females that I didn't have, I wasn't capable of protecting, we'll say that, because they were a part of different, units. Like, I was motor transportation, motor transportation operator. And I've heard stories from females that were in, G shops, S shops, logistics shops, supply shops, chow hall, like from different, companies, units, mother freaking battalions, platoons. They were from different areas and still were encountering this, and this is stuff that they would tell. I don't remember this encounter with this guy, but they know that stuff is being said about them, everything. And majority of the female, I don't want to say majority, because I don't know if it's majority, but a good bit of the stories that I heard of girls that would actually report rapes, these rapes these reports wouldn't go anywhere. Like, you would have higher ups telling these girls, like, you wanted it, and like, you knew this was happening. And these are people that wasn't, they weren't there. You know what I'm saying? Or these were girls females who encountered these situations from higher ups. Some would tell, like, they would report them, but it won't go nowhere because of the rank of the person, or they wouldn't report it because it was their staff NCO or their NCO, and they didn't want to risk, their lives pretty much being dragged through hell because they report. So a lot of, some people didn't say anything. But there was this expectation that it's like we were viewed as mother freaking, like, we were just, it was almost like guys, these male, our male military counterparts felt like we were just placed into this, into the Marine Corps, into the Army, the Navy, whatever, for their sexual pleasure. Like, my dude, this is crazy. It's crazy. And it ran everywhere. Like, it wasn't just limited to junior Marines or junior Navy personnel. Like, it wasn't lower ranked, and it was higher ranked too. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you, I've encountered staff NCOs and officers flirting with me, and a good bit of these guys were married. You know what I'm saying? But there was that expectation that females were to sleep with these guys. Like they made it seem like it was our job. That was our only purpose of being in the service with them. That was our only purpose of serving alongside of them, is so they can have somebody to sleep with while they're separated from their families. And in the civilian world, I've seen where, like I've even had guys that, cause after I got out of service, I started smoking weed, and I drank because, like now I'm an adult. I'm not under my parents' wings anymore. So I decided that I wanted to engage in alcohol, and I started smoking cigarettes, but that was towards the end of my time in the military. But the weed came as soon as I got out the service. And at my job, I met people, other males that smoked, and some of them would tell me stories of like females that would sleep with them or other guys that they knew for marijuana. And there was that expectation. And I was just like, wow. Like, wow. And that's what makes me say to myself now, like, to this day, my wife and I, like, we only tend to we stick to our families. Like, if I'm, while we're living in New York, if I'm not at my mom, my parents' house, hanging out with my sisters and them, my brothers, I'm at my own house by myself. I don't hang out with people because I've dealt with too many people. Like I've encountered people who knows me and my wife are married, and still these guys would still, would drunk text me or do it soberly, like, hey, let me eat you out. Let me do this with you. And it's just like, my dude, I don't want nothing to do with you like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were supposed to just be friends, or not friends, but acquaintances. I know you from school or work or whatever. But because I'm a female, like, it's like, I'm married. Does that mean nothing to you? No? Okay. Well, it means something to me. You know what I'm saying? And like the story I told you with the older lady, that the guys, they didn't want to help her get to where she needed to go and get some food unless she gave them to some type of sexual favor, did some sexual favor for them. And it makes me fearful for when I start having kids. And it's like, when I have a daughter, I don't want to bring my daughter, because I know, I see what I had dealt with. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I'd be paranoid my entire life if I brought a daughter, a young lady, a girl, in this lifestyle, because it's just like, there is really that expectancy where guys think that because we're females that we're supposed to just sleep with them. You see it in the military, you see it in the civilian sector, you see it in, at workplaces. I mean, in my state, in my city, New York, I'm from Rochester, but one of the suburban, surrounding cities, motherfucking Grease police have dealt with quite a bit of sexual harassment type situations where police officers were even getting in trouble because of getting sexual favors from, the women that they're supposed to, the citizens that they're supposed to be protecting and serving. They're motherfucking trying to get motherfucking sexual favors out of them to do their jobs and stuff. You had motherfucking police get fired from it, and for raping or taking advantage of females that's on probation, threatening, like, hey, if you don't do this to me or for me sexually, I'm going to report you to your probation officer and stuff like that. And like, women, I'm getting stuck because it's like it's starting to, make me pissed all over again. But we women aren't placed here for your sexual pleasure. Like, you want sex from somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, Be genuine, build a relationship with them, and stick with them for the rest of your life. Like, y'all just going around trying to tag everything moving. It's just like, what the freak? And ladies don't get a break anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm not saying that men are the only ones who does stuff like that, but statistically, based on statistics, men predominantly behave this way. Like, yeah, you got some females who expect sex from men, but not at the, with the same amount that the numbers of males, you know what I'm saying? So I know this video is pretty long, so if you have any, comments, or you want to, tell me your opinions, post them in the comments and tell me what you feel about this video.
Peace.